My next guest is a regular on The James Show. In fact, he's the now official legal nerd of The James Show. Jeremy Rosenthal is back on. Round of applause for Jeremy. Welcome back, sir. TexasDefenseFirm.com is his outfit.
Thank you. Thanks. Official and all the beautiful Texans can acknowledge this. Thank you so much. This made my day. This made my week.
It comes with a responsibility here. You have to answer all my crazy legal questions. You know, it's not a freebie we're handing out.
No. Well, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, says it best: with much power comes much responsibility. Indeed, let's do this.
Okay, Hunter Biden is dropping a bunch of lawsuits. Now, he's saying it's because he's broke. I have a hard time believing that with all the millions he's gotten and his, giant paychecks. And this guy's swimming in money, but he says he's broke. He says his art career has fallen off a cliff and he hadn't sold a painting since his dad lost the election. Man, there's so much going on here. Explain this to me. Is that really a legit reason to drop a case?
Okay, so when you bring a federal lawsuit, he sued somebody at the White House, I believe, who he alleges that released contents from the infamous laptop. So he brought a federal lawsuit against him. I think some point in the last year. Now he wants to drop it. Legally, you really never need a reason to dismiss a lawsuit, but the federal judge can dismiss it, or he can, I don't know if he can keep Hunter Biden in it. What he could do is he could dismiss it with what's called prejudice, meaning you can never get it back. And this other guy's lawyers want Hunter Biden to pay the tab. They want him to pay the legal fees of the other fella. That's a whole different debate. Hunter Biden is saying, well, I can't pursue these charges. The charges are valid. I'm just broke.
But it's not believable. Yeah. Jeremy Rosenthal, he's not broke. We know he's not broke.
Even if he is broke, and so if he is broke or not broke, neither of them would be impediments to him dropping a lawsuit. What he's trying to imply is that he's trying to find a justification of he's trying to save face and saying, look, I didn't bring a meritless lawsuit. I just ran out of gas here. I think most people would have a hard time taking Hunter Biden at his word. I don't know why they've injected that angle here, because I would think that the other side would have to show that this lawsuit was just meritless, right? If you bring a completely frivolous lawsuit, you could end up paying the tab, and that could be what happens here. Although, if Hunter Biden's completely broke, you're getting blood out of a turnip. So good luck there.
Yeah, well, it's not really believable this guy's broke, but let's go ahead and take him at his word. It just sounds like the guy's trying to weasel his way out of a lawsuit he wasn't going to win anyway. And also, if he continues with the lawsuit, is he going to have to get on the stand and we have all kinds of evidence discovery and we go over the details of what's in the laptop? I think it feels like he's just trying to avoid that, and this is a real just weak sauce excuse.
That's a great question, and maybe he's trying to say that he's broke so that way he doesn't have to pay whatever legal fees. But that wouldn't be a thing for the judge to consider. To your point, that's an excellent question, because Hunter Biden has that sweeping pardon. Does he have the Fifth Amendment to hide behind? The other side could certainly try to put him on the witness stand.
Yeah. Okay.
And he doesn't have the Fifth anymore necessarily. Now he can always say, well, I'm afraid that this lawsuit's in California. So he could say, I'm afraid that I'm going to reveal California offenses. You could try that. But because you've been given this really sweeping pardon, that's an excellent point. He may no longer be able to hide behind the Fifth Amendment if he were to take the witness stand. A great point.
All right. Another case that I do not understand is the Supreme Court ruling against Trump. They say we are unfreezing this foreign aid. You have to spend this. How does that work out? What are they going to hold his hand and make him write the check?
They might. Yeah. This is confusing. It's really confusing. So there's a federal judge. So Trump does his executive order saying, I'm freezing foreign aid. Entities bring a lawsuit saying, well, hold on, Congress has already allotted this money. You're overstepping your bounds. You're the executive, not Congress. We've already done this work. You need to pay us. The federal judge says these parties are correct. You need to pay them. There was a delay. The the administration didn't comply with the judge's orders. Now they would tell you the judge's orders were vague. We had a hard time trying to do this. There was a deadline of this week. It was initially halted, I believe, for 30 days. It was on again. It was off again. Ultimately, the Supreme Court declined to overrule the earlier order. So as of now, the Trump administration is ordered to pay $2 billion of monies that are claimed to have been previously earned. Now, I don't know that affects anything going forward before that date, after that date, or anything in the future. The administration is saying that, look, yes, even though Congress has the purse strings, we still, have the ability to make sure that it complies with, our spending prerequisites, and we want to audit these.
All right,
things.
but Jeremy, we're continuing with Jeremy Rosenthal, TexasDefenseFirm.com. He is the official legal nerd of the James Show, and I still have a couple more legal questions, so thank you for hanging on through the break there. So there was the cheerleading competition. Varsity Spirit is the name of the organization behind it, and they are now offering ticket refunds and counseling, and I think they're going to work their way up to some sort of settlement with the people who were at the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center over the weekend. A fight between two people made a couple of poles fall over. There was a loud noise. People mistook it for gunshots, and there was a little bit of chaos for a second there with a few minor injuries in the stampede. I mean, are they really on the hook to provide anything because a loud noise happened?
They could be, and I don't know that it's going to be related to the loud noise. It's going to be how foreseeable a panic would have been and what precautions, if any, they took. Now, it could also be just as easily the convention center that's on the hook. And I mean, look, there can be panics, and you've got to have sort of plans for these kinds of exits. I mean, and let's say, heaven forbid, thank God it wasn't a shooting or something like that. But had that been the case, you still would have had this rush of people, and you got to have a plan for when something like that happens in the year 2025. So it's possible they could actually be on the hook for this.
Well, It's not just the legal angle here. It's also sort of this social phenomenon we have where we think people need mental health professionals, licensed mental health professionals, and counseling because they heard a loud noise that was misperceived to be gunshots?
Well, I'll tell you this much, and I've got a 13-year-old daughter who runs in a circle with other 13-year-old kids, and she knows people who knows people who know people who were there, and for a time, people thought that this was an active shooting, and people are trying to locate loved ones. And you don't know until an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later that, it was just, these poles falling. Now, does that mean that everybody needs counseling and therapy? Above my pay grade. But I think there's probably some pretty scared folks here. Sometimes you think it's a ghost in the house and it's only leaves in the basement. Doesn't mean that you weren't pretty scared.
Right, but if I showed up in a Bigfoot mask and scared my wife, and then I took the mask off, like, just kidding, it's me. Does she get to say, I need to go to therapy because now I'm scared of Bigfoot? I mean, this doesn't make sense. We're not that fragile. We're not Fabergé eggs. You heard a loud noise. You mistook it as a gunshot. Once you found out it wasn't a gunshot, you should have just gone, oh, okay, and been able to go back to your normal life. This is what's confounding to me, Jeremy.
Part of this is PR from this organization.
That makes sense. Yes,
and from the if it's the convention center, because look, I mean, what else can you do? You can throw money at it. You can throw counseling at it. You could throw an apology out there. What else can you do for the good PR phase? So I think a lot of it is aimed at that. I mean, there was the plane that flipped over on its back. And you had, I think it was Delta Airlines that offered all the passengers $30,000 for free, which, I would take a hard pass. I don't know that I would pay, or you couldn't pay me $30,000 to think that my life was over for 11 minutes or whatever those people had to suffer through. But all they can do for the PR and to try to be the nice guy is to say, here's some money.
Yeah, well, this is why I can't do PR. If I was with that group, I'd be like, no one's getting mental health counseling. You heard a loud noise. That's on you. Before I run out of time again, there's an article in Dallas Morning News and DallasExpress.com where it sounds like some leaders in Irving are trying to slip in a rezoning for the plot of land where Texas Stadium used to be. And then the rumor mill picks up, and we think that they're trying to get a casino snuck in there and legalize gambling without running it by the community first. And I feel like they're missing a step. Like, it's still illegal at the state level, so you can't just sneak in a casino. What's really going on here?
You would have to do, there are so many levels to this that would have to go in your favor. First off, state law prohibits casino gambling. We can do lotteries, horse racing, greyhound racing. We can do bingo. Yeah. But we can't, unless the law changes, you can't do that kind of gambling. Our Constitution, the Texas Constitution, it's general. It's not anything specific. It requires our legislature to try to suppress gambling. So we would have to amend the Texas Constitution. Look, I mean, I don't, maybe this is a 20-year or 30-year project. Maybe they can get the voters where they want to get them. It would be hard. This is a hard project to try to get all the way through, and taking care of the zoning that's a very minuscule part of the overall equation.
So are you guys excited about Suits, the famed lawyer series? They're having a new franchise, a new series open up for Suits LA. That's got to be cool for the lawyer community.
I need to probably watch that stuff. I don't. I get angry. I think I watched Lincoln. Well, I'm not going to tell you. I can't get into why I think those things are kind of bogus. I get enough of that drama in my daily life, but I will say this. People walking around thinking that my job's a lot sexier than it actually is. That's fine.
Oh, they make it look so cool, and you have such like a witty comeback every time, and everyone's dressed to the nines at all parts of the day, wearing high heels and evening wear, basically. Jeremy Rosenthal, TexasDefenseFirm.com. What do you guys do up there?
We do criminal defense, and our witty retorts are Spider-Man comebacks, about which much power comes much responsibility. That's as good as you're going to do here. But yeah, we do criminal defense at TexasDefenseFirm.com. A reasonable doubt for a reasonable fee.
All right. Well, whenever the James Show crime syndicate finally gets busted, I'll be giving you a call. Thank you, Jeremy.
Appreciate you. Take care.
Jeremy Rosenthal, TexasDefenseFirm.com. Wait till you find out Miss Parker's criminal enterprise. I mean, she's the worst. We all want, women to be successful if they go into business for themselves, but we just can't get the statistics to be completely equal. So while we have some differences in here, let's talk about them and see what we can do about them. Suzanne Castle, welcome back to the James Show.
Thanks for having me back. I'm very excited to be here and be talking to you today.
Oh, calm down. It's only Thursday. So when we talk about how women business owners have some issues that men do not, what are some of the big ones?
Well, a lot of it is about funding and capital. So we're still receiving only 2% of venture capital, although we're owning 38% of the businesses in America. And so I think that that's a big gap right there. But it's not just about lacking ambition or ideas or execution. A lot of it is how we get to talk about our businesses when we're in rooms with other people.
So what do you think the explanation for that is?
I think that a lot of it is men often get asked how they're winning. So very goal-oriented types of conversations. But women get asked how they are not failing. So it's a very different space to be into. So from the first of a conversation, women already feel like they have to defend their choices and what they're doing in their businesses, while men are like, I'm doing this, I get to dream, here's the great thing that we're trying to do in the world. I like to think of it like this. If you had two entrepreneurs who are walking in a room, the guy is asked, how do you plan to dominate the market? Which is not bad. Like, we want to know, like, take over the planet. What's your plan? But the woman gets asked, how are you going to keep customers from leaving? And so that's an assumption already in the question that she's already losing. And so that ability to be turning that around to say, I'm going to tell you how I'm building my loyal customer base. And while I'm doing that, I get to dominate the market. It's just a different way of being in the room.
So what do we do about that? I mean, that doesn't sound like there could be a policy or legislative fix. That sounds more like a cultural issue. I
think it's very true. You know, we have Women's International Day is coming up this weekend, and part of that is just an awareness factor because it's not just about money. I think it is definitely how women see themselves and their possibilities, but we can't just blame it all on mindset, right? So if women-led startups generate twice the revenue per dollar invested compared to male-led ones, my question that I'm asking in a lot of these spaces is why aren't investors investing in women? They're leaving money on the table, which I think is just bad business. So we together have to decide why women aren't getting funded and do something about that.
What's your theory?
I think my theory is sometimes it's just easier to do what you know. So there's definitely bias in our conversations. Okay, that's fine. But also it's about giving women a chance. And so sometimes women have to go to women-led banks. And that's not necessarily true for men. They can walk in and they got their business plan, but women are turning to other women. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think the question becomes, you can work on your mindset only so far. You have to meet people somewhere through strategic wealth, not just through funding, but definitely, like you mentioned, systemic, sustainable, and smart decision-making. That's going to take all of us working together.
Well, some of this sounds almost parallel to the discussion we have about the gender pay gap. And a lot of people point out that there's behavioral differences between men and women that could explain some of it. Like men on average work more hours per week. They make more riskier moves, generally speaking, whether it's investing or in business. And, you know, there's just like a handful of behavior things that men and women do different. So it's not necessarily some sort of, you know, bias or gender discrimination. It's something that men actually earned.
I think there's some truth and merit in that. But I think the problem is that in education, just from the get-go, women are conditioned to think in limits. So men are encouraged to think in growth. I think that's a lot of what there's a Harvard study out that uncovered that. And so investors in that place, there's nothing wrong with it, but investors are going to be like, well, I'm going to go for the person who's really growth oriented, not the person that's at limit oriented. And so when we turn that, it's not just enough to reframe how you're thinking about it or how you do your business plan or your questions. Mindset's not changing the system. I really think it's an access problem. So women need access to capital. They need better connections. Like men in your space, if you like a woman who's doing a cool thing in business, make some introductions for her. Give her a different opportunity, just like you would with your male friends and business buddies. And it's just a subtle little thing that we can do, but it can really have a huge impact.
I have a commenter over here on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it, says, points out women get preferential treatment from the Small Business Administration. Is that doing anything to help narrow the gap?
I don't think so, because a lot of women don't understand how to even go to the Small Business Administration. So again,
do guys know how to go to the Small Business Administration?
Probably not. You know, I think for us, it's an understanding in certain communities. There's a lot of education around that. There are free workshops to go to, but a lot of people just love to live in the land of, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I bet there's somebody out there. I mean, gosh, we have Google, right? Just Google. And the Small Business Administration does have a lot of resources out there, but a lot of times women are like, well, that seems hard. Men are like, I'm going to go do the thing. I just think together we need to say, let's let everyone try to succeed at the best rate that we possibly can.
All right, Suzanne Castle, how do they find your work outside of WBAP?
SuzanneCastle.com has everything they need.
Can we not kill our significant others, whether it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, an ex even? Just because we disagree is not an excuse to kill somebody. Now, if someone is actively attacking you, if there's an actionable mortal danger to you or someone close to you, sure, you can react with lethal force. But you people, I find this confounding because I didn't understand it when I was a kid, and I figure, well, maybe when I get married and I actually have, you know, a relationship that's that, you know, life-shattering if it breaks up, maybe I'll understand then. Nope, still don't. So I cannot imagine a scenario where I would kill Miss Parker. I don't care, like,
I'm Miss Parker.
If we got a divorce, or she cheated on me with my best friend, or she just ran through every one of the Dallas Mavericks in one evening and it was all on video, or I still wouldn't kill her. I can't even come up with a scenario when I would open hand slap her in the face. So these people, you hear about it all the time. Someone ran over their girlfriend, or someone shot their boyfriend, or someone. These people, like, how do you go from I love you so much? Oh, you're the best. No, I love you the most. No, I love you more. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. So I'm going to kill him. That's a hell of a leap. WFAA has this weird story, because this didn't start out as a murder for hire plot. It started out as something else.
Was investigating a string of routine thefts when he stumbled on a murder for hire scheme.
Investigators say the suspect behind car break-ins and porch thefts was planning to kill his ex-girlfriend. As WFAA's Matt Howerton reports, a chance encounter cracked the case wide open.
It's the holiday season 2023, and there's a porch pirate causing problems in Plano, who also doesn't mind checking neighborhood cars to see if they're unlocked and what's inside.
Can I help you while you're touching our cars?
You'll notice the suspect not wearing gloves in several videos.
I'm calling 911.
So when this detective, Cole McIntyre, was assigned the case, he and others were able to lift a print above and beyond police work for property crime these days.
It was one of those lucky breaks where we found a latent fingerprint that matched a viable candidate.
And that print led McIntyre to a man named Michael McLeod, the department says. And that next month, the detective saw him off duty while eating at a restaurant.
His demeanor was that of being boisterous and almost belligerent, hollering about something.
So McIntyre took a seat, struck up a conversation, asked what's the matter.
This individual, Michael McLeod, started talking about his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend and how he was looking for a silencer in order to take care of both of them.
Which sent McIntyre's investigation into an entirely different ballpark.
He took that opportunity to say, okay, well, I know somebody that can get you that.
The department says McIntyre notified the ATF, and an undercover officer contacted McLeod about the alleged murder for hire plot. He was taken into custody weeks later in February of last year and just pled guilty in federal court. McIntyre receiving a service award this week. Sometimes leads they develop out of thin air, on scene, at your desk, even in your off time, where you're not required to follow them.
Two people that now are still alive today because of Detective McIntyre's initiative.
In Plano, I'm Matt Howerton.
Wow, Matt Howerton. Good report. What the heck is that? Hey, so this is something that, like, I try and drill this into my kid's head. Like, look, you're going to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I have boys and girls, so it doesn't matter. You're going to get a significant other. They're going to break up with you. When they do, you're not going to call them. You're not going to text them. You're not going to drive by their house. You're not going to threaten to beat up their new boyfriend. You're going to move on. In fact, look, I don't know. Maybe I was just a little too enthusiastic about moving on. When I was younger, I almost thought of like a breakup, like, hey, all right, so I'm free again. I'm on the market. This is great. But I understand when you get into like your 20s and 30s, I guess it starts to mean a little bit more. I don't have that gene. I don't have that capability in my head. Like, if you don't want me, why am I going to go spend my money on a new gun and a silencer or a murder for hire plot to kill you? I need that money to spend on my new girlfriend, or maybe get my car fixed or rent or something. Like, I'm not going to put any more resources into a relationship that's not already failing. It's done. There's no way it can come back. So every investment it's just lost money. You're just throwing money away when you go try and kill your ex-girlfriend. And now what's going on? You're going to go to jail? You're going to go to prison now? For what? A girl that doesn't even like you? You're going to go to prison because this girl doesn't like you. Why? I don't understand. Are you just sending a message to all the other girls? Well, if you're getting in a relationship with me, you better not break up. That's not how this works. No. You get girls to like you by being nice to you, not by slaughtering other women and saying, see what happens if you mess up. These people are crazy. Out of their mind. Don't do it. If someone breaks up with you, just move on. Yeah, like maybe write them a note, like one note, and if that doesn't work, just move on. And this is what I would recommend. Find their best friend, and if their best friend is somewhat attractive, maybe just like a little revenge flirting, but definitely no killing. How about that? Can we just compromise there? All right, that's going to do it for the James Show today. Stick around. Mark Levin is coming up next. But also, there's going to be 21 hours with no James Show before I'm live again. In that 21 hours, you can still go listen to me. Go find the James Show podcast. I prefer you go to WBAP.com or the WBAP app. But wherever you're already listening to podcasts, just type in James Parker or James Show or something like that. It pops up. But also super important is the social media. Whenever you see one of my videos, I know you only have, 200, 300 followers. Every share helps. Every like helps. Every follow helps. So help a brother out. And also do this thing where you actually verbally, organically with another human being, tell someone about the James Show. See if you can recruit some new listeners for me. I got to get these numbers up. These are rookie numbers. I got to get them up. All right, I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.